Hi guys, I'm here today at Dentsu, and I'm sorry for keeping the podcast so long before I update you guys, but we've been making changes, and today it's all about creators. It's not about tech, but it's all about creators. So today I have, who are you?
My name is Joel Rao, CEO of Dentsu in Kenya.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You've been seeing me at Dentsu activities, and you're wondering what it's Dentsu. So today I have a few questions, and I want them all answered. How is Dentsu School of Influence helping shaping the sustainable careers of content creators, and what is the model, and how unique is it?
Okay, so there's a bit of noise, but we'll just go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the way Dentsu is shaping up careers of up and coming creators is through this initiative called the Dentsu School of Influence. To give you an understanding of where we are coming from, we noted that a lot of the social media companies, when they were setting up, they worked very closely with some of the top creators who are already big. And yet, we have a budding ecosystem of creators who are, up and coming. Some of them have just finished school. Some of them want to get into a career of content creation. And what we realized quite quickly was there was a very big knowledge gap. So even when brands want to work with some of these up and coming content creators, it's very hard for them to really have that understanding and that knowledge that most of the big creators or big influencers would have. And so for us, this was more of an opportunity to create an opportunity for the creators to have that knowledge gap bridged, number one. Number two, find ways of actually upping their content quality by working with different platform owners like TikTok, like Meta, LinkedIn, to be able to enhance their own content and build communities that actually matter. Over and above that, we were also looking at opportunities to grow or rather get the creators to understand how best to create wealth from the content they already have. And so looking at, like you have your own podcast right now and you're running
Yeah.
it. How can you use this podcast as a form of intellectual property that you can actually bank on and use it as collateral, with other financial institutions that would have happen. So that's really what we really want to do.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that we had going. The other way that we're also, helping creators, grow their careers is by allowing them to also network with brands. So a lot of brand partners are here to be able to actually get creators to understand where they're coming from, to understand their styles, and also for the creators to understand where their brands are coming from and what the big opportunities look like
Yeah, true.
for them as far as this is concerned. So yeah, that's one way to look at it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
is there a structure or curriculum focused on things like pricing, contracts, or digital branding?
Of
Because these
course,
are
yeah.
problems that normal creators face.
So
Yeah.
a lot of creators actually that I've talked to who are up and coming don't understand how to price. They've not understood how to, do contracting. What are the rules of engagement, for example, whenever they're dealing with brands, when it comes to advertising opportunities. One of the things that we wanted to do differently was to actually put that at the forefront and actually, as far as your first question is concerned, yes, there is a curriculum that we've set aside to go over. And I hope you've also enjoyed, some of the
Definitely,
curriculums that we've had.
definitely. Yeah.
But I don't know whether you noticed this, but the very first thing we talked about was contractual
Contractuals. Yeah.
l- aspects in how to deal with your intellectual property and even how to price yourself to some degree.
Exactly.
And that has really, really helped. Like that was the first thing we talked about. And it was very, very much needed for us to be able to actually have those conversations up front with a lot of the creators that we had here during this session, yes.
Awesome. And do you think Kenyan creators have a unique culture or creative angle compared to Africans or the global market?
Yes, actually, what's really interesting, being Dentsu being part of a global company, we are not just running Dentsu School of Influence here. We're running it in South Africa. We're
Yeah,
running
I
it in
saw it.
Accra. We're
Yeah.
running it in Lagos.
Uh-huh.
We're running it in Madrid, in Spain.
Uh-huh.
And one of the unique things that I've gotten to see, having talked to my counterparts, other CEOs in other markets, one of the things that I've gotten to see that is quite unique is the fact that each cultural aspect of each country feeds into the creativity that the creators have. So you'd be very surprised at how they approach their content on that side. And there are definitely intersections where there are certain things that are universal that we can actually be able to, to take into consideration. but the cultural nuance in each market is so unique to that specific market. And for Kenyan specifically, I think we have a very, very great opportunity to be able to actually build out something that the world comes to visit, as opposed to us going to the world, taking Kenya to the world. We want the world to come to us. And so that is something that I've always strived for as a person, as a human being, but more importantly also as a professional, because there's need for us to lift as you rise.
Yeah, true.
Right. So I'm a young leader who is also looking to make an impact in society. It's important for me to also look at the creator economy and see, okay, what is my contribution to the creator economy to be able to actually lift it? And I want to thank Dentsu and the leadership within Dentsu to allowing us to doing this within this market. Yeah.
Awesome. So, how do you see the evolution of brand collaborations with creators in Kenya? Are they performance driven or still awareness based? Because watu wengi umeona hapa they are very niche.
Yes.
And that has been the question, whether
Yes.
it's numbers
Yes.
or...
I think it's a mix of both. We do have creators who are actually being used to drive awareness, for sure. That's the common. But also what we've begun to see, especially for some of the FMCG brands, is like, creators being used to actually drive sales via e-commerce.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely going to evolve. I think that, awareness and performance is going to play a role. And you know very well that, without awareness, you can't have strong performance.
Yeah, true.
And it's like a yin and a yang
Yeah.
that you actually have to like sort of contend with. But more importantly, I think this is definitely going to evolve. I consider creators as a creative engine for a lot of agencies, for a lot of brands, to be able to bring in brand value, bring in nuance, cultural nuance through content to consumers at large.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things that I have seen working very well is when creators are co-creating with brands, and I'm foreseeing that being the next evolution of where where it will go. But more importantly, what's going to be really interesting is to see brands working with creators to build brands that are geared towards the creators. So a brand coming and saying, "Oh, I have this alcohol, gin. Why don't we create it with you and you have a percentage of share in that business?
Yeah.
Or I have this makeup line. Why don't we create a line for you?" And that's what I foresee happening. Yeah.
Awesome. So, do you think the Kenyan audience is ready for the pay content creator via subscription, digital products like Patreon, YouTube membership, and all that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Kenyans are hungry for more content. We're already seeing it. Today Kenyans are buying music from Spotify. It's a subscription models are there. We're seeing Kenyans even paying to go for live podcasting shows, and that is happening. I think I'd like to encourage more Kenyans to like take advantage of like Patreon, for example, is like the best way to see how creators can actually monetize the communities that they've been able to build. YouTube has been working very closely with creators for very many years now. And so looking at even those companies making an investment in the creative economy here is something that, we see as benefiting the creator space in Kenya. Yeah.
Awesome. Are there policy or infrastructure gaps, e.g., payment platforms, internet costs, limiting the growth of the Kenyan creator economy?
Yes, I think there are. I strongly believe that government needs to adjust its approach towards the creator economy. I know they've made strides in building the creator economy. I think there's an aspect of tax that needs to be addressed, because these are you're all budding creators, and the tax burden, to be honest with you, on equipment, on devices, on shooting locations, for example. I think a lot of these things can be zero rated to actually grow the economy. I want to encourage the individuals who have been involved to continually make strides in democratizing some of these benefits, because it seems as if there are only few people who are probably getting some of these things. And I think there are hungry creators out here, and a School of Influence has actually gone a long way in driving this. And it's also an open invitation to government to also participate in what we are doing. I'd be more than happy to sit down with government to be able to see, what we could be able to do for the up and coming creators within this space. And that's number one. Number two, outside the government involvement, is around um, flexible payment solutions for creators, especially from financial institutions. Today we had a conversation with one of the financial institutions,
Yeah.
and just discussing how we could actually take up, intellectual rights like your podcast platform and using it as collateral for you to get financing.
Finance,
Or
exactly.
for a musician who owns their masters, how can you take that particular asset and use it as a form of collateral to be able to be banked, for example. Or another example that would be interesting is like TV producers, for example. They produce films, and they're streamed,
Yeah.
they're in cinema. These are all ways to make money. So I think there's need for financial institutions to evolve and move away from the archaic banking, traditional methods that they've had in the past, and start adapting to some of the ways that the world has already moved beyond. There are a handful of banks that are able to come and say, hey, your creator, we've seen what you've been able to do. We're willing to front you this amount of money. Or we are creating a unique account for you to be able to collect your royalties as a musician or as a writer. I think a lot of these things need to be taken into consideration because none of these products exist in the market. And it's a challenge also to the financial institution, to the Kenya's Bankers Association, to be able to see how they can actually be able to bring this to life, as far as the creators and as far as creatives in general are concerned. Finally, I think the role of brands in this ecosystem, I think there's a bit of limiting factor because both government and brands, I'm not saying all brands, but most brands tend to, have, stringent or how can I put this? The payment terms are not favorable to the creator. So you have creators being paid after 90 days,
At 30,
after,
that hurts.
30,
It's terrible,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, 30 days is okay.
It's not.
In my opinion, but with the percentage of that amount paid upfront.
If upfront, then makes sense, but then
Yeah,
after, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But I think there's need for us to also evolve to catch up with those standards, and also as a creator, also getting to understand that businesses operate within a financial cycle. Right, so there are things that can actually be upfront paid for, but also understanding that the brand also needs certain aspects of delivery
Yeah.
that warranty their return on investment,
Yeah.
for them to be able to release funds for payments to be made. So I think it's both sides and that need to come to the table. And I think today's conversation in the morning with one of the financial institutions brought this to light,
Yeah.
quite clearly. And I also strongly believe that banks can also use this opportunity to also upfront pay. Like it's like pure financing, for example, the
Yeah.
creator, so that the creator can get their funds, so that when the brand pays, even
They
if it's
pay the
after
bank.
90, even if it's not 90 days, but after 45 days in general, that can also be looked at.
Yeah, true.
But more importantly, also government. I think government should also start looking at creators, to push some of the agenda, some of the things that they are pushing.
They're pushing.
I think creators do play a very big role in not just having their fingers on the pulse of culture, but also they're the ones who curate culture.
Yeah.
They're the ones who create culture at the end of
Yeah.
the day. So I think, in my mind, I think there's a very big role that government can also play as far as this is concerned. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
The last question. Is there room for creator education in public institutions, universities, or will it remain private program like Dentsu? And also, when is the next Dentsu
Dentsu School of
program?
Influence. I'll take your first question, yeah?
Yeah.
As far as the opportunity for institutions to look at educational programs, I think there are very good opportunities. We have Dentsu University. We have our own university within Dentsu. We are more than happy to partner with institutions who are looking to monetize some of these programs, for institutions. I know institutions have always been teaching multimedia. They've been teaching, journalism and writing and, craft writing and everything. But I think there is more to it than meets the eye. I think that evolution also just needs to take place within within academia, and we're more than happy to also look at how we can be able to, leverage some of the partnerships we have with some of the big big five tech companies to be able to bring that to life. And some of that curriculum is being felt here. We will still be running Dentsu School of Influence. This is just our first cohort. It's our inaugural cohort, and we're very proud of what we've been able to do so far. I hope you've learned a lot, by the way, over the last 2 days.
I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yesterday's topic was awesome,
Yeah.
especially the contractual.
Yes.
And then today,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to how to finance,
Yes.
to get finance for expanding my studio,
Yes.
possibly
There
with
you
B2B.
go. Yeah. So I think it's all important and it's
Uh-huh.
all good. I think more importantly, where we're going to see the biggest opportunity is taking learnings from here or from this, past 1.5 months, I want to say.
Uh-huh.
Right from the launch to content folio
Yeah.
to taking in feedback from content folio that then influenced this event and how we've run this event also, to output from this event, building on to the next event that comes. So we're definitely going to be running another School of Influence in the second cohort. I encourage you, if you are not able to attend or to apply for this cohort, there's another cohort that's coming up in the second half of the year, and hopefully some of the graduates from this cohort will be able to interact with some of the graduates from other cohorts in other countries, and that's my dream. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You guys, see you on the next one, and thank you.
Thank you so much, my man, and enjoy. Yeah.
Karibu.
Awesome.
All right.